Right now, I'm watching the most entitled woman in Tennessee have a complete meltdown at my brand new steel gate. Her silver BMW is trapped behind $200,000 worth of "screw you," and honestly, the look on her face is worth every single penny. But you need to hear how we got here, because this woman has been cutting through my property illegally for 8 years. 8 years. And when I finally said enough, she tried to fine me $500 for using the wrong shade of white paint. Big mistake. Let me take you back 3 months. I just retired after 40 years as a civil engineer, bought my dream property in Tennessee. 15 acres of rolling hills, a creek in the back, total peace and quiet. Or so I thought. Third Tuesday morning, I'm watching deer by the creek when I hear it. Expensive German engineering crunching across my gravel. Out steps this woman, perfect blonde highlights, yoga pants that cost more than my truck payment, and that smile that immediately makes you check your wallet. Dalia Kramer, president of the Willowbrook Estates HOA. Here's the thing though. My property isn't even in Willowbrook Estates. Never has been. My land predates their entire development by 15 years. But apparently geography isn't her strong suit. She starts going off about my fence around my vegetable garden. Says it's not in compliance with community standards. I'm thinking, what community? This is MY land. But I'm polite, Midwestern, still learning how to tell entitled people to pound sand. So I say I'll look into it. 2 weeks later, certified mail arrives. $500 fine for unauthorized fencing. With $50 added every day if I don't comply. When I call to explain my property isn't under their jurisdiction, her voice goes ice cold. She insists I'm confused about my boundaries and offers to bring their surveyor to clear up my obvious confusion. Like an idiot, I agree. Next morning, she shows up with this guy carrying survey equipment. They spend 2 hours measuring, whispering by their cars. Then Dalia marches up and announces that while my house is outside their boundaries, my fence is somehow on HOA property. When I asked to see this magical survey, she can't produce anything. Just keeps insisting their professional analysis proves jurisdiction. That night, I did what any engineer does when someone tries to snow them with technical garbage. I drove to the county records office and pulled every document dating back to 1987. The county clerk's office smelled like old paper and forgotten dreams, but to me, Christmas morning. I brought coffee and settled in for the most productive day of my retirement. My property deed from 1987. Clean, clear, zero HOA covenants. The Willowbrook development records from 2002. Boundaries stop exactly at my property line. No overlap. But then I found something that made me grin like an idiot in that creaky chair. Buried in their construction plans, temporary construction easement, Westbrook property, access route for development phase 2. Dated March 2003. Expiration, 18 months maximum. Phase 2 was completed in December 2004. Which meant this easement had been dead for exactly 20 years. 20 years of Dalia driving through my property every morning at 7:43, committing criminal trespass while lecturing me about property compliance. The irony was beautiful. I kept digging. Environmental studies showing they used my land as temporary construction access. Traffic impact assessments proving it was never meant to be permanent. And then, the real masterpiece. The Willowbrook HOA Charter itself. Article 7, Section 3. The association shall maintain strict compliance with all property law, and any violation of easement agreements or trespass upon non-member property shall result in immediate removal of board members. Dalia had been violating her own HOA's charter every single morning for 8 years. She just handed me the legal dynamite to blow up her entire suburban empire. Driving home with 21 pages of legal gold, I hit the brakes. Fresh tire tracks across my back pasture. She'd trespassed again while I was documenting her crimes. That's when the engineer in me took over. I didn't just want to stop her. I wanted to trap her so completely she'd never abuse anyone else's property rights again. Then I remembered the for sale sign on County Road 847. 50 acres sitting right against my boundary, controlling every back road and shortcut between Willowbrook and civilization. Asking price, $200,000. Steep for retirement, but I wasn't thinking about reasonable anymore. I called the realtor. 2 hours later, I'm standing on that hilltop looking at the most beautiful piece of strategic real estate in Tennessee. This property wrapped around Willowbrook like a noose, controlling the exact route Dalia had been using for her crime spree. I told the realtor I'd take it. She dropped her clipboard. Asked if I was seriously buying 200 grand of land without sleeping on it. I explained I had a very specific use for it, ending the criminal career of Tennessee's most entitled trespasser. Closing was Friday. I had 10 days to build infrastructure that would make the Berlin Wall look like a garden fence. I spent the next week throwing retirement money at contractors like a drunken lottery winner. 8-foot chain link with barbed wire on top. Security cameras that would make the Pentagon jealous. Private property signs large enough to read from space. Every contractor asked about timeline. I said money's no object, finish by Friday. Some people buy boats with their retirement. I was building the most satisfying property rights enforcement project in American history. Friday morning, I'm in the attorney's office signing the papers when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. Mr. Thompson, this is Dalia Kramer. Your fence violations have escalated beyond acceptable limits. Meet me at your property line tomorrow 8 a.m. sharp. This situation ends now. I showed the text to my attorney. He asked what was so funny. I said it wasn't a threat, it was a formal invitation to watch someone walk into the most expensive trap in Tennessee history. Saturday morning, 7:55. I'm standing at my property line with coffee and those 21 pages, watching her BMW approach. Out she steps in full battle mode. Power blazer, designer heels on grass, leather briefcase. Behind her, some nervous surveyor carrying equipment. She marches across my lawn, heels punching holes in my grass, stops 6 feet onto my property. Announces we're going to resolve this, like civilized adults who understand community standards. I take a sip of coffee and agree. Then casually mentions she's currently committing criminal trespass. She freezes. Then launches into this prepared speech about my fence violating established community standards and me maliciously interfering with established traffic patterns that benefit the neighborhood. I pull out my phone, start recording. Ask her to confirm she's talking about the route crossing my private property without any legal easement. She opens her briefcase with dramatic flair. Produces this thick folder from her expensive legal team, proving my interference constitutes public nuisance under Tennessee law. 15 pages of professional-looking legal fiction with official stamps and enough jargon to choke a law school. I flip through it while explaining they seem to overlook something important. She demands to know what. I pull out the original temporary construction easement from March 2003. Read directly from the county document. Limited exclusively to development traffic, required restoration to natural conditions in December 2004. Legally dead for 20 years. Her face goes through 6 shades of red. She calls the county planning department right there, filing a complaint about illegal obstruction of a recognized public access route. I just sip my coffee waiting for them to explain no such route exists. After 5 minutes of increasingly frustrated questions, she hangs up looking like her worldview just collapsed. That's when I detonate the nuclear bomb. I tell her since she's so interested in property boundaries, she might want to know I closed on the Hartwell property yesterday. All 50 acres. Including the exact route she's been using illegally for 8 years. Monday morning, contractors roll in. 8-foot fencing, cameras, signs everywhere. By 9 a.m., it looks like we're securing a federal prison. Dalia shows up demanding to speak to whoever's in charge, claiming building code violations. The foreman explains all permits are filed and approved. She calls the county inspector, the sheriff, every regulatory agency in Tennessee. Discovers I'd done my homework better than a doctoral dissertation. Tuesday, fresh tire tracks on a different section of my property. She's so desperate she's trespassing on new routes. I extend the fence to create one continuous 55-acre fortress. Wednesday, she arrives with a different surveyor claiming errors in original boundaries. Poor guy compares her documents with my certified copies, apologizes, and drives away. Thursday, she shows up with bolt cutters trying to remove fence sections. The foreman calls the sheriff. Deputy Rodriguez arrives, explains destroying someone's fence is criminal mischief. Asks if she wants to be arrested or leave peacefully. She leaves, screaming about expensive lawyers. But here's where it gets beautiful. That news story opened floodgates. Other residents started calling with their own Dalia horror stories. Financial irregularities. Vote manipulation. Selective enforcement. The Tennessee State HOA Oversight Commission launched a formal investigation. They found embezzlement totaling over $400,000. contractor kickbacks, insurance fraud, property tax manipulation working with a corrupt assessor. Criminal charges were filed. Federal tax authorities got involved. Mail fraud, wire fraud, even RICO violations for operating an ongoing criminal enterprise disguised as community leadership. My fence color violation? Officially canceled. All fines from the past 3 years refunded with interest. Every violation she'd ever issued? Legally invalid. The HOA was suspended. New leadership elected under state supervision. And Dalia? Arrested at her home, charged with embezzlement, fraud, and racketeering. She got 18 months in federal prison. Released last month and moved to Florida. Apparently Tennessee property law was too complicated for her. 1 year later, I'm sitting on my porch watching kids from the environmental education program learning about wildlife on the same land where Dalia used to commit her daily crimes. The scholarship fund we created now supports 4 students annually. The community gardens feed the local food bank. And the wildlife preserve attracts bird watchers from 3 counties. Sometimes you have to spend $200,000 of retirement savings to prove entitled people can't steal through bureaucratic intimidation. But property rights in America still mean something when people defend them with knowledge, patience, and occasionally expensive legal education for suburban dictators. Drop a comment if you've ever dealt with an HOA president who thought authority meant immunity from law. And if you enjoyed watching justice serve itself, smash that like button and subscribe. More neighborhood showdowns coming soon.